Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live with NORML. I'm J.M. Padini, the Development Director for the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It's Friday, April 26, 2024. You know what that means. It's time for me to answer all of your burning questions live. Thanks for joining us, friends. Wherever you're watching, take a quick second to hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. Chris, I don't know, is the stream broken? I hope not. Hey, let me know where you're watching from. That'd be super. Not only what state, but I can see your platform when you leave a comment. StreamYard told us the integration with Facebook was down, and they're working on it, which doesn't really help us right now. And I don't exactly know. Oh wait, I see it on the Facebook. Okay, great. Never mind. Let's close that. Perfect. Guess it works. Thanks, Ryan. I see you on Facebook from Colorado. I love that. Hey, Eakins in Missouri. Pot in Texas. Hi. Hey, Samuel. Hey, Woodyard, welcome back. Hey, James in San Francisco. Glad you had a great time at San Francisco Weed Week. Hey, Kevin in Gloucester on Instagram. Hey, all you Instagram people. Thanks for watching us. I'm glad StreamYard finally works there. Hey, Sid Law from Sydney, Australia. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Melissa on Instagram. And hello, Laurel. So glad you're watching. Hey, if you're watching us on Instagram, maybe go ahead and hit that follow button too. That'd be great. Kieran in Ireland, I love it. James, that's really fantastic. Big thumbs up for James, who's going to Sacramento next week to go lobby with California NORML. Love that, James. Oh, funny. All right. Let's talk about some news, maybe. I'm all excited now that Laurel's watching. What's my favorite story of this week? Hey, Tree, good to see you. My favorite story this week, and I think this is probably going to be very popular with our viewers and readers, is, my foot hurts, is a study that was done, a survey that was done of patients who are using sativa. It's funny that you're asking that question because I'm about to talk about something very similar. Okay, there was a survey done of patients who are using prescription grade, so this is in other countries, but prescription grade cannabis flower. Not that you couldn't have prescription grade cannabis flower in the US, but it's not what we call it here. Prescription grade cannabis chemovars that are at high THC for flower. And I don't mean like 35% is pushing the science envelope. But these chemovars were on average like 20%. And what will be surprising to no one is that these patients reported not only improvements in their symptoms or whatever they were trying to manage, but also a few serious side effects following the use of high THC flower. And what's really excellent about this these findings being published in this study is that they help push back against claims that cannabis chemovars higher in THC pose unique risks to health, or that there is an absence of research on the efficacy of medical cannabis above 10% THC. So we hear a lot of reefer madness rhetoric about, well, it's not your grandma's weed, and it's so problematic because it's 4 times higher than it was 50 years ago, or whatever the latest nonsense is, or that there's not adequate research. And in fact, there is, and this is just one more study to throw on that pile. I'm sorry. Instagram man called horse. What? Okay. Hi, Ellie. Hi, Fred. But to Sativa's question, is 35% abnormal? I mean, it's not normal, that's for certain. Also, if the lab that's even this question really begs is assuming that it has not been, doesn't have something added to it to, like distillate put on the flour or something, assuming it's just plain flour. If you're getting a 35% report back, then you really want to maybe go to another lab just to see. When labs aren't regulated, it's like when your cannabis isn't regulated. What's in it? Just because something has a lab report doesn't mean that lab report's valid. Jay Heinrich, I cannot, but you can get one in our store at store.normal.org. Okay. That's a lot, Woodyard. Big old dad Eric asks, how close is federal legalization, or will Indiana legalize it first? I mean, first of all, that's pretty funny. I see what you did there. Okay. So there is the HHS recommendation to reschedule cannabis to Schedule 3. This does some things from a business perspective. It doesn't really do anything from a consumer perspective. But that's not the same as removing marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act and allowing states to set their own policies without threat of federal interference. Even more important, considering that most every state in the country is setting its own marijuana policies in conflict with federal law, but moving marijuana to Schedule 3 won't do anything to ease that conflict. They'll still be just as in conflict with federal law under Schedule 3 as they will Schedule 1. But it's not an executive order that's going to deschedule marijuana. It's an act of Congress. Congress has to pass a bill, put it on the president's desk, and the president signs the bill, and then marijuana can come off of Schedule 1, like alcohol and tobacco, and not be scheduled at all, like alcohol and tobacco, and states can just regulate accordingly without threat of federal interference. Is moving it to Schedule 3 potentially going to prolong the time that it takes for Congress to act in a meaningful way? Maybe. Indiana could very well legalize adult use before Congress acts. But really, it's that elections have consequences. And America, like Indiana, if you continue to elect legislators who are terrible on cannabis policy and are not willing to act in a meaningful way to advance cannabis policy reform, then you're going to continue to get terrible cannabis policy. So I hope that answers your question. Man called horse, waiting for when Schedule 3 happens. If so, I wonder how that would affect medical marijuana prescriptions at the state level. I don't think it affects it at all, because FDA, so prescriptions are for FDA regulated drugs. Marijuana is a plant. FDA doesn't regulate any plants. It's not likely that FDA is going to begin regulating botanical cannabis. Cannabis medicines, sure, but like dronabinol is already Schedule 3. The brand name, most people know it as Marinol, but dronabinol is a Schedule 3 drug available by prescription today. It's 100% pure synthetic THC in a capsule and oil. So that's available today. I don't think it really changes anything. It just would make something potentially be available by prescription. But I don't think it's realistic to assume that FDA is suddenly going to begin regulating plants. But to that point, there are other federal legislation pending that would permit VA doctors to issue written certifications to or even to discuss medical cannabis with their patients. You can find those action alerts at VA at normal.org/act. Make sure you send those to your lawmakers. Yeah, Eric, Indiana is a special place. So is Virginia. Each state has its own specialness. Hello, dope CFO. I see you. Yeah, and I agree, there is the potential for tax relief to cannabis operators. I'm still interested to see that reality play out. And I think that there's, if that tax relief comes, then there's a potential benefit to consumers as well, hopefully with a cost reduction. Also, man called horse on Instagram is asking about California. They passed a bill for off-duty use, but they're trying to roll it back for law enforcement, making it prohibited for them. I mean, Virginia just did the same thing. We passed a bill to expand employment protections to public employees, so like people employed by the state and localities. But Senate Republicans specifically wanted law enforcement excluded from it, which the bill patrons did, and then those Republicans didn't vote for the bill. So it seems like we didn't need to do that now, did we? But nonetheless, we got it passed for the firefighters, who we were trying to actually help. And if law enforcement's excluded from it, I don't know, maybe you could have lobbied for it. State line asks, wouldn't Schedule 3 allow CDL drivers to use medical cannabis? I don't know how that necessarily facilitates that. Hi, Mike in Anaheim. Hi, Larry in Alabama. Samuel, thank you so much for reminding me about Cherokee. We did share some news about that, and I thought about you and Tree as soon as I saw it. Oh, wouldn't it be fun if I had that handy right here. I don't, but I'm going to find it for you. So in North Carolina, on tribal land in Cherokee, the first legal cannabis sale happened on April 20th. So that's great. But Samuel is telling us that they were busting people that drove out of Cherokee with medical, even if they had a medical card. That sucks. I would love to see, is there any reporting on that or anything you can share? I'd really like to see that. Not saying I don't believe you, I'm just saying I'd like to read that. And here it is. Here's the story about. Oh, this was published the day before. Anyhow, 828 News Now covered it. Because who can resist a nice pun like hopes are high for state's first legal medical marijuana joint? Not really the states, is it? It's Cherokees. But whatever. It was on the local news. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. If you happen to find the article, send it my way. When you're, most patients don't enjoy synthetic, they don't enjoy dronabinol because it's just THC. It doesn't have any other cannabinoids in it. It's known for causing anxiety in people. Shocking, I know. Okay. Alan, you're welcome. I'm super happy for you. Super happy for you. All right, let's news it up, friends. Where are we? Okay. Here's something weird that happened this week. I don't like this story, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. Remember how we talked about how only a handful of marijuana expungements have happened in Hawaii, despite the law that permits it and the eligibility of lots of people? Well, and even in continuing crappy news out of Hawaii, this week senators did an about face and they rejected legislation that would have expanded the existing marijuana decriminalization law in Hawaii. It's super weird because they had previously voted for it and then voted against it. Yeah. Right now in Hawaii, you can possess up to 3 grams for a maximum fine of $130. We do have medical cannabis there, but this would have improved that tiny little decriminalization law. But nope, now you get nothing. Hey, JT. Good to see you. Yes, James, we are aware that Border Control has been seizing cannabis from transport companies that are doing licensed business in the state of New Mexico. I forwarded one of those to Keith, and he said the Border Control has always had that authority. So that's my only comment on that. Yeah, Christopher, I do see. South Carolina is advancing its medical bill. I think it's kind of laughable how they're patting themselves on the back because it's one of the most restrictive in the country, like is a weird thing to high five yourselves over, legislators. But from an activist perspective, from those of you in South Carolina advocating for medical cannabis, as you should, it's okay. It's okay to pass something that's not perfect. Don't buy into that narrative that it's better to have nothing. No, if this gives someone access and keeps someone out of jail, then it's a good thing. And you've got to start somewhere. So it's okay to start with something that's not perfect and keep moving forward. Kyle on Instagram asks, what about Iowa? It's a state. I'm going to go look at our ACT page, Kyle. I feel like we were talking about CBD bill. Yes. So Iowa has a bill this session, Kyle, to improve access to its medical CBD program. Oh, wow. I know there's not a lot of people in Iowa, and but this bill would increase the total number of licensed CBD facilities from 5 to 10. Feeling real good about Virginia right now. Over 18,000 Iowans are currently registered to access state qualified cannabis products. So, hey, Kyle, go to norml.org/act and click on Iowa and send a message in support of Senate File 2335. Wow. No, pot calls the kettle bong. Texas, again, you have a legislator problem. You've got to elect people who aren't terrible. You do have a medical cannabis program, though, so that's a great place to focus. You also have local decrim in Texas. To that point, hey, are you in Lubbock? Do you know people in Lubbock? Early voting has begun in Lubbock, Texas, to depenalize marijuana possession. I believe what they do there is a lowest level enforcement priority. But early voting has begun in Lubbock, Texas on that local initiative. And it's on NORML Election Central. If you go to norml.org/election, which I'm going to put in the comments. Happy Friday to you also, Wade. Yes, so early voting has begun. I think it goes through the 30th, and then May 4 is the election day where voters in the city of Lubbock will decide on Prop A, which is a citizens-initiated measure to depenalize certain marijuana-related offenses. So if you know anyone in Lubbock, make sure they're getting out to vote. Hi, Jackie. I see you on Instagram, Jackie. Come visit. I know it's not session, but anyhow, thanks for reminding me about Texas. And yeah, Christopher, I know Georgia has a wonky model also. Virginia, Georgia, and Texas all started with the same limited licensure, low THC model, and you can fix it. You can fix it. Do that. Just gonna, whoops, happy Friday, Ryan. Just gonna leave Christopher's comment up there while I catch up on some light reading here. Thank you, Insulin. right? It's so important to know that, like, as long as you move forward, don't listen to the naysayers who were over there taking their ball, standing in the corner, whining and complaining about it's not good enough, it's not this, it doesn't accomplish whatever their personal business interests are, right? Do something. Something's better than nothing. Hey, Wade. Oh, Wade. Do we have to? Wade's asking about THCA. Look, you can see all kinds of people selling what they call THCA flower. That's weed. That's how THC is present in the plant, is as THCA. If you go to the dispensary, a licensed medical cannabis dispensary in Virginia, I happen to know Wade's in Virginia. If you go there, you're going to buy flower that has THCA in it because that's how cannabis works. And if you go to the gas station or the whatever store that's called and buy THCA flower, it's just weed. What else is in it? Who knows? Because that stuff's not regulated. Gross. Happy Friday. Larry, we get this question a lot. Larry asks, does the VA, the Veterans Administration, take away disability compensation or VA medical care due to testing positive for cannabis use? So what we hear most often is that people who are receiving care through the VA, when they are being drug tested, is because they are on either opioids or something like Adderall that the VA requires drug testing for. And that is typically where patients lose access to certain healthcare through the VA because if they're an opioid patient, they're using cannabis, they test positive, and then the VA says you can't get opioids here. That's what we hear most typically, Larry. You're welcome, Wade. Here's something. Hey, JT. It's Indiana, right? It's Indiana, JT. JT says, I've been getting roundtable emails about politicians wanting to change CBD laws. Do you know anything about that? Which state? Yeah, Indiana. And like CBD laws, like literally, no, I don't have anything on my bill tracker for Indiana right now. Could forward it. We have a pretty good chapter in Indiana as well, JT. Steve Dillon, who's on the NORML board of directors, is in Indiana, and he's really smart on all things state cannabis policy. Oh, thank you. Woodyard says the VA will offer you a program before kicking you out. Hey, William on Instagram talking about THCA flower. Yeah, see, here's the thing. It's not what I want to say. Products like that are unregulated. What's in it? Who knows? It's not required to undergo testing like state regulated products are. So you deserve as a consumer to know what you're buying. And if you didn't grow it yourself or get it from someone you know and trust, then what's in it? Who knows? That's why states require lab testing, because you deserve that. I know what's in my water. It's regulated. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you to my new producer, Christopher. Yeah, Okay, Wade, but Wade's talking about certificates of authenticity. Is that lab regulated by the state? What processes are they using? Are they an accredited lab? When was the last time they were audited? Do actual scientists work there? I got a lot of questions. Like a COA in and of itself doesn't mean anything. Okay, speaking of the need for regulation for consumers, Chris, I can't even. They got their own problems. I'm going to share this story with you. This will be, it's on our, it's in our news section, Instagram. If you go to our news section on the NORML website, normal.org/news, you'll see it there. Otherwise, YouTube and Facebook, you'll see it in the comments. There was an analysis done of rolling papers, and about a quarter of the products tested contained heavy metals. Ew. There have been similar analyses done before that yielded similar results. Again, these products aren't regulated, so what's in them, who knows? But the TLDR for you is colored papers were the ones that had heavy metals in them. And it seemed to be, I read the study, the ones that had blue in them. So like green, blue, and purple, or the green, blue, and purple sections of the papers had, most frequently had what are potentially severely toxic elements like copper and other metals. So yeah, this was done. There were 53 brands of papers that were analyzed. They're brands that were available both nationally in the US and internationally. This study was done with the Lake Superior State University School of Chemistry and published in the Journal of the American Chemical Society. So maybe buy rolling papers that aren't gross. There was another one done in 2020, an analysis done in 2020 in California that looked at 101 rolling paper products, but similar issues. High Pines. I agree, Wade. Standards for advertisers would be nice. We have that at NORML. The only advertising you will see on our website, aside from like random companies that just, not necessarily cannabis companies, but companies that want to support our work, you'll see Google ads that we have limited control over those. But you won't see, if you see cannabis product advertised on the NORML website, it's going to be from a licensed company, a licensed adult or medical company. Yes, I'm absolutely talking about Metallica, and yes. Samuel just signed up for NORML membership. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Be awesome like Samuel and get your NORML membership. So maybe stay off the blue papers this weekend. That's what I'm saying, friends. Good news in Maine. The governor signed legislation that provides a pathway for expungements for marijuana possession and cultivation, convictions, activities that are now legal. Those are the those convictions are eligible for expungement in May now, but you have to petition for it. It's not automatic. Kentucky's, I think we talked about this last week. Kentucky's, I don't have the story here for you though, but Kentucky's governor also signed legislation early this week that is both good in that it expedites licensing for Kentucky's medical cannabis program, which will begin July of this year, but bad because it requires patients to undergo a criminal background check. No other state requires that. Like in the very early days, Virginia had some absurd disclosure on your form, but no one was ever denied a card. So yay boo on that one, if you're still watching, Laurel. But back to some yay. Hey, remember when Colorado was the first state to sell cannabis legally? That was cool. How'd that work out for Colorado? 67% of voters say that Colorado voters, 67% of Colorado voters say that allowing the regulation of marijuana is a, quote, good thing. No buyer's remorse there. Hey, defend on Instagram about California and city employees. Feel free to email us at legal@normal.org. Hey, Tim on Instagram asking about what happened in Virginia. What you mean, Tim? Like, what happened with the adult use retail sales bill? Well, the one that our illustrious governor vetoed. That's what happened. Elections have consequences, Virginia, and you're kind of getting it from both ends. Like, it's just not a good scene. No legal sales, Tim. Yep. Defend, the email is legal@normal.org, legal@norml.org. Hello, Life with Galvino on Instagram. Will Austin ever be adult use? Yeah, when you stop electing terrible lawmakers in Texas, then you can do it. Hey, Wade, thanks for mentioning that, Wade. Wade said, I saw in the news the pressure is on for the DOJ to announce their recommendations for cannabis scheduling. Yes, and in fact, Wade, if you read the article that we shared on it, which I probably could go find and share again. Oh, sure can't. It's somewhere. Paul is quoted heavily in that piece. Maybe it's going to publish on our Facebook on Monday, but yeah. J-Bo's on Instagram asking about South Carolina law. I think we've got a little bit more to go on that. I'm looking at our ACT page right now because it shows me what's up on. Yeah, none of them are on, according to Bill Track 50. The bills are have not yet fully passed. But we'll keep you posted. It looks like the Compassionate Care Act, which is S423, crossed over on 423. And it's in the House Medical Cannabis Ad Hoc Committee. That's what I can tell you. Yes, JT, cannabis rescheduling, descheduling is in the DEA's hands. It's also in Congress's hands. It's always been in both of those places. Congress could just pass a bill to remove marijuana from the Federal Controlled Substances Act. And we could be done with federal prohibition. Nancy is, yeah. Oh, hey, Patricia, good to see you. Yeah, JT, I agree. Two more newses. I can't answer that question right now. Oh, if people want to text me, you should watch the show and then you can just ask me here. Okay, I have two more things for you. You know, we talked about this a few times now, and we published, Paul has written a really excellent op-ed that's getting so much coverage, and we shared it on the NORML website as well. This is about the need for feds to change discriminatory marijuana testing policies for truckers to address the trucking industry labor shortage. Because, shut up, Christopher, fewer truckers on the road results in supply chain shortages and higher prices for the goods Americans rely on. It's the change in these discriminatory and counterproductive marijuana drug testing policies is long overdue, writes Paul. Be sure you read that. Christopher is hilarious and loves to ask me this question. Christopher says, tell me again, remind me, what is your favorite cultivar of cannabis? Well, Christopher, thanks so much for asking. My favorite cannabis is legal cannabis. Yeah, so we actually, I'm really glad that we've been covering the trucking issue. We actually got emails this week from, not that we don't get emails from everyone all the time, but specifically from truckers who had been fired, and they wanted to talk to us about it. And then today, we had a new blog post. Again, it's gonna come as no surprise to most of you. But hey, guess what? This time in the Journal of the American Medical Association, which is called JAMA, there was a study in JAMA Pediatrics earlier this month, and then there's a study in JAMA Psychiatry out now that concludes that there is no evidence that marijuana legalization laws encourage youth use. So that's a great piece to read, and just one more paper to throw in the pile to refute the what about the children claims. Kids are all right. Because shockingly, when you take marijuana off the street corner and put it behind an age-verified counter where adults can safely and legally access it, it becomes more difficult for children to access it. I've never heard that before. Anyhow, Instagram, you can find that on the front page of the NORML website at norml.org. YouTube, and Facebook. You can find that in the comments. And those are all the newses. I have some more things to tell you about. If you like this show, make sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. We try to do this every Friday at 4 Eastern. Hey Dope CFO, talking about cannabinoids naturally occurring in human breast milk. Yeah, that's accurate. That's accurate. Christopher, thank you for taking time out of your day to be here and watch this. Also, Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern, Suncoast NORML, which is one of our Florida chapters, they do a podcast called The Rotation that streams on their YouTube. You can find Suncoast NORML on Instagram. You can find them on YouTube, and you can find the links in the comments. Coming up May 6th, as we talked about earlier, is California NORML's Lobby Day. This May 6th at the Capitol Event Center in Sacramento. You have to register in advance. You can find California NORML on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You can find it in the comments. More exciting events coming up for you. You know what's going to happen? Tuesday is the last day to reserve a discounted room. Assuming that we still have rooms in our block. I haven't checked at the resort, but the NORML Aspen Legal Seminar is coming up May 30th through June 1st at the Gant in beautiful Aspen, Colorado. There is a discounted room block that releases after or on April 30th, one of those. So get your tickets and reserve your room now. You can get out full details at norml.org/Aspen. Come hang out with me and Keith and Paul in Aspen and hear from leading cannabis law experts from around the country. If you're an attorney and you need continuing legal education credits, our legal seminars are fully accredited in every state, requires CLEs for their attorneys. If you do not need CLEs or you're not an attorney, we have a discounted registration rate for you right there on the ticketing site. Come hang out. It's really an amazing event. Speaking of more chances to hang out, if you are in the New York area, or you'd just like to be, that sounds great. I have some good news for you. I have some links for you. I have some discounts for you. I have some free passes for you. All right, so there's a big event coming up in New York called the CW CB Expo. This is June 5th and 6th. It's at the Jacob Javits Center. It's a big expo, and if you want a free pass, I have that for you. You can get that. I'll put this in the comments and Instagram as well. Hopefully that'll work. We'll see. It will be posted on our Instagram as an Instagram post soon, though, as well as on the NORML website. But you can get a free expo pass with code NORML24, or you can get 50% off a seminar pass. Huge discount. Now, this is June 5th and 6th in New York City, but June 4th, the night before the Expo Eve, as they call it, is the NORML Formal. The NORML Formal this year will be at the CW CB Expo Rooftop Bash, and that is a separate ticket. You can get it the same registration link, but it's a fundraiser for NORML, so come. It'll be great. We're going to have amazing baskets that you can enter to win. It's going to be awesome. When you find this podcast, this is George. This is the podcast, George. This is it. This is as close to that as you're going to get. Here we go. So yeah, come see me in Aspen. Come see me in New York. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you to my producer, Christopher. Hey, coming up in July, this is a little bit of a planning ahead, but if you're in Indiana, Indiana NORML is celebrating its 50th anniversary on July 20th. You can get tickets for that. It's at the Hi-Fi Annex. And if you're in Virginia, I have 3 Virginia things to tell you about. Coming up May 8th at 1 p.m. is the Virginia Cannabis Control Authority Board of Directors meeting. You can attend in person or virtually. Hello, Josh and Kokomo. See you. May 13th is the Virginia Cannabis Public Health Advisory Council meeting. This is May 13th at 2 p.m. Encourage everyone to go to both. I think it was May 6th. Is it really May 8th? No, it's really May 8th. Okay. Oh, Woodyard, I'm very glad to hear that. And then I have one last thing, Virginia friends, to tell you about. Now, the message that was sent out by the Virginia Department of Health about this was really convoluted. I did not appreciate the tone of it's not shocking though, given the administration. I thought the tone of the email that was sent to healthcare providers was absurd. This information should be disseminated to the general public. It's clearly not being disseminated to the general public other than by yours truly right now. But there is finally an adverse events reporting portal for Virginia. It's not just for children, whatever the hell DHP said in their email. It is for whoever, if you consume some product in Virginia that contains CBD or THC and have an adverse event, you can report it now, finally. Okay. I hope other states have things like that. You should. We'll see what DHP does with that information. I'm going to ask about it at the CCA meeting. I did go through the portal though to see what questions it asks. It does ask what type of like the product brand name, but it doesn't ask it until way at the bottom, which I think is not where that question belongs. I think that belongs at the top because that's really important. Not just did you have some side effect. How is that useful? Like what, other than aggregating data, which I guess is fine. But if you don't know what kind of product it is, DHP, how effective, what's the point of your data? Like, are you going to take action against people who are selling unregulated products that harm people? Because you should. Well, VDAC should, because legislators made a path for that. Or Office of the Attorney General can take action as well. You need to know where it was purchased, what it was. So kind of like leaving that as like, well, maybe if you get all the way down to the bottom of the form. Anyhow, good job, kids. I hope that for you too as well, Josh. Fingers crossed. All right, it's almost 5 and I have to go home because for those of you who know, you know, our kids' school, our youngest kid's school is doing their musical tonight, and it's called Fearless. And some teachers, I think maybe the principal and some teachers wrote it. It's about bullying, and it's all Taylor Swift songs. So I'm going to go watch a bunch of elementary school children sing Taylor Swift, and it is going to be delightful. I cannot wait. I hope you all have a spectacular of an evening if I'm about to. Christopher, thank you. Christopher's given you all permission to call it a day once this show is over. And what wonderful timing, Christopher, because you know what's coming up. That's right. Hey, thanks everyone for taking time out of your day to watch this show. We try to do this every Friday at 4. So make sure you hit that like, follow, or subscribe button so you never miss when NORML goes live. The NORML Weekend Weed Read is coming out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And if it's not hitting your inbox, you can change that. Go to norml.org/subscribe and check the Weekend Weed Read box. You don't, even if you're already signed up, just go there, put in your information, check the box, and then you will get it. Thank you, Woodyard. Then you will get the Weekend Weed Read in your inbox. Yeah. Thank you to everyone on Instagram who joined us. Please, thank you for joining, but make sure you hit that follow button. Follow NORML on Instagram. And I am thinking about a super awesome fundraiser for NORML that I'm going to tell you all about first. Hopefully I can tell you about it next week so I can hear your thoughts, but it does have something to do with a smell-proof backpack. So think about that over the weekend. Hey, this has been a blast. I love hanging out with you all every Friday. Everyone have a great weekend. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye-bye.